we're going to ask you to find two sine functions and two cosine functions to graph from problems 11 through 20 on page 409, just so that you can get this practice in and get the practice in well. Okay, so I'm going to start with a couple here, right? And I'm going to say, right, I'm going to do number 13, which is y equals -4 cosine of 2x. I'm also going to do number 14, which is y equals -1/2 sine of x over 2. Okay, so we'll start with those two. Notice that here, right, I'm not told whether x is in degrees or in radians, so I really could be in either, right? But most typically, we're going to be working with radians. Okay, so we always want to identify our amplitude and our period first. Our amplitude 4, our period is 2 pi divided by 2, which is just pi. Okay, so amplitude 4, period pi. If I'm going to draw this graph, I know a cosine function starts at a maximum, right? But for this particular situation, because I have this negative, it's going to start at a minimum, and it's going to start at -4. Okay, and it's going to go all the way up to +4. Okay, I know that my period is pi, so I'll repeat myself at my period. Right? So at 2 pi, I would repeat myself. I know that at half my period, I'll be the opposite. So here's a minimum at half my period, a maximum at half my period, a maximum. And I know that halfway between, I'll be crossing my axis. So if I come over here to draw the graph, here I go. There is 2 periods of my graph, right? -4 cosine 2x, right? Here I have -4 cosine 2x, amplitude, period, set it up, be able to graph. Always draw these key points. Very, very, very important. If you don't draw it correctly, you won't get credit. Okay? You will have a calculator to help you check your graph, but the key points are important. Okay? If I look at number 14, for over here, my amplitude is 1/2. My period is 2 pi divided by 1/2, which is 4 pi. Okay? So with that information, I can draw my graph. Here I set up. Okay? I know -1/2 to +1/2, my amplitude. I've had no vertical translation. Don't move up or down. Don't move like simple right now. So here I have my setup. Okay? I know that for sine function, I start at the origin. Okay? And I also know that for the sine function, at the beginning, at the middle, and at the end of my period, I'm on that axis, right? And that period is 4 pi, right? And so I can come over here, and at 8 pi, I'd be at 0 as well. Of course, halfway is 2 pi, and halfway there is 6 pi. Now, it's a negative sine function, so that means that I'm going to start going downwards first instead of upwards first. And halfway between these two, I'll be a minimum, halfway, then a maximum. Halfway, a minimum, halfway, then a maximum. Alright, and then I can just come in here, connect the dots. And here is 2 periods of that sine function. Alright, fairly straightforward. Very important that we can draw our graphs